The 2024 NFL Draft is officially in the books for the Dallas Cowboys, and tonight we will discuss the exact moment in which they nailed it. Let's get to it. Here we go. What is up, everyone, and welcome into A to Z Sports Dallas Primetime. I am your host, Mauricio Rodriguez, streaming with you live every Sunday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central and catching up with each other in between every day. So welcome, everyone, man. Long weekend of work. Long weekend of work covering the draft for A to Z Sports. It was an absolute blast. But now we know what each of the 8 Cowboys draft picks is, and we're going to have some fun talking about them, mostly focusing on those top 3 rounds in tonight's case and discussing that exact moment in which I believe the Cowboys absolutely nailed the 2024 NFL Draft. And before we get into all of it, let me say hi. Thank you for joining the show. Do me a favor and hit the like button if you enjoy the content. Shout out to Jerma. We've got Joe in there, Katharina, Mark, Aaron. Who else do we have around here? We've got Holly. We've got TC915, Juan Daniel. We've got a lot of people here on the show. Let me know in the chat, though, right away. Let's get this conversation started. Who was your favorite draft pick of the Cowboys in the 2024 NFL Draft? Who was the very draft pick that made you go, hell yeah, this is a good draft? Let me know in the chat. And if you disagree, if you didn't like anything about it, let us know as well in the chat and we can talk about it. In the meantime, while you get your answers in, let me say something. The moment in which the Cowboys won that draft was the moment they traded that first round pick. Before we even get to what it became eventually, let's talk about the trade itself. Because in the moments between the Cowboys trading you away and then before they went on the clock at 29th overall, I got to be honest with you. I wrote an article, about a 200-word article for A to Z Sports, grading the trade by itself, not even considering who they were going to take at 29th and who they were going to eventually take at 73rd the day after. My grade for the trade itself was B+. And the reason why was very clear. Numerically, they won that trade, and it wasn't even close. What you would get in value in a similar trade in a regular situation would be a 4th rounder. And that's why throughout the entire pre-draft process, when we talked about the Cowboys moving down, it was always within the context of them getting back that 4th rounder that they lost in that Trey Lance trade. It was always in that context. And that wasn't a coincidence. That wasn't because we all kind of seemed to agree that, hey, it's worth a 4th round, period. That's because there's value charts that measure this stuff. And numerically, this would have been a dead even trade had the Cowboys given up gotten in return a 4th rounder. But instead, they got a 3rd rounder. I'm not exactly sure what went behind that, but the Cowboys did suggest in a post-draft press conference, that they were fielding several calls about trades. They were working on 4 trades, according to Jerry Jones. Who knows if that number is real or not. But they were seemingly in a bidding war for the 24th overall pick, which is the Cowboys ended up giving to the Detroit Lions after cornerbacks fell to the late 1st round, which was insane. At one moment, I thought the Cowboys might end up with a cornerback in the 1st round. I don't know how I would have felt about that, but it would have been best player available. But the Cowboys ended up giving it away, dropping back 5 picks, getting a 3rd rounder in return. That's an insane win, just numerically speaking. You're talking about plus 100 points in the Rich Hill trade chart, which measures, just to give you some idea, measures the 24th overall pick at like 237 points. So to get 100 net points in return is very valuable. And again, this is before we even get into who the Cowboys ended up picking. Now, let's get into that right now. According to the Cowboys, according to Stephen Jones and company, the Cowboys were looking at 4 names when they went on the clock at 24th overall. Now, that was Graham Barton, who was absolutely the fan favorite when the Cowboys were on the clock. Everyone wanted Graham Barton, and it's not hard to understand why, but I'm going to get into that a little bit later, they were considering Darius Robinson, the edge rusher out of Missouri. No surprise. He was a top 30 visit, who we talked a lot about here on Primetime. Jordan Morgan, the tackle from Arizona, who is likely going to play guard at the next level. And then there was Tyler Guyton. So they decided we drop back 5 picks, and one of these 4 guys is going to be there. Now, they took a little bit of a risk there, admittedly. If it had not gone their way, who knows how we would feel about it. I don't know if they would have went with a cornerback then, maybe. The Cowboys end up going on the clock at 29th overall. They take Tyler Guyton. Now, for context, for those of you who don't know, there's been reports, and Patrick Walker from the DallasCowboys.com, he tweeted about this. Both the Patriots and the Commanders were trying to trade back into the first round to get Tyler Guyton. And the reason is clear as well here. Tyler Guyton, a lot of people didn't like at 24th overall because people thought, you could get a NFL-ready center there. You could get an NFL-ready guard maybe there. Or you could get a high-value defensive player, whether that's a defensive lineman, whether that's a cornerback, or some people were hoping for a wide receiver as well, and kind of have like that plug-and-play starter that could really change things for you offensively right away. People, in my opinion, didn't really like the Tyler Guyton profile because he was another project. And maybe that seemed like one too many projects, especially in a year when you're hoping to compete in the playoffs and maybe take that next step. Now, the thing is, I'm not sure the Cowboys are on the same mindset that Cowboys Nation seems to be. But again, trying to save that for a little bit later. The Cowboys end up getting Guyton, who, even if you didn't like the project, like he was a consensus top first round pick through and through. He was on the top 32 of pretty much every draft board that he picked. He was going in the first round pretty much on every mock draft. So the value was very fair at 29th overall. And then you add on top of that, a top 75 pick. That's another third round pick that is not comparable to 87th overall. That's half a round in between those 2 picks. That was excellent value that the Cowboys got out of the first round. An additional top 75 pick. They got Tyler Guyton, who hopefully is their left tackle of the future. And I will say this, they kind of get the benefit of the doubt, at least on my end, when it comes to offensive linemen. Because I have not seen them get this wrong very often. Like, I've seen them consistently nail first-round offensive linemen, some of which we have heavily criticized, most recently Tyler Smith. And when we talk about that draft board thing, Tyler Smith was different. Tyler Smith was outside the top 50 in many draft boards. So it was a little bit more of a weird feeling when the Cowboys called his name in that first round in 2022. With Tyler Guyton, man, it was only fair. Like, he was somebody that was in the first round for everybody. You can see the traits. You know that the Cowboys have some time to develop. You know that the Cowboys have historically developed these linemen. And I'm not going to lie. You kind of look at him and you go, oh, damn, he kind of looks like, body type. Kind of looks like Tyron Smith. Ideally, that's who you want him to be. And obviously, who knows if he's going to end up being a Hall of Famer, a consistent All-Pro and all that. But you know what the Cowboys are betting on. A lot of people have compared him to Tyler Smith directly. I kind of see why, right? He's a project who is not exactly NFL ready or doesn't seem that way, but you can see what he could be in the future. But the one comparison, the one difference that I would point out is when I looked at Tyler Smith, and not that I'm a professional evaluator of players, but you could see pretty easily that what you were betting on was the overall nastiness and strength. Whereas with Guyton, you're betting on the agility. People have talked a lot about how he's a former basketball player and how he's smooth with his movements and all that. That's what you're betting on with Tyler Guyton, which is perfectly fine. And you're betting on the prototypical size and all that. So, hey, I'm happy with the first round pick. It kind of hurts passing on Graham Barton, but here's the key part. I don't think the Cowboys are in this we got to win in 2024 mode. Because if that was the mode, maybe you do get the pro-ready player, kick Tyler Smith to the outside and have him play left tackle, and you kind of plug TJ Voss or somebody at left guard. And maybe that's a good solution to your problem if you're trying to win now. But the Cowboys, financially speaking, are kind of resetting, and they've admitted to this, right? Jerry Jones has gone out there and he has said, whether we agree or not with him salary cap wise, he has come out and said, hey, we want to have Dak Prescott win more with less. And again, we've had debates about that. We've criticized that, all of that, but they've admitted that's their mindset going into 2024. So when you think about that, maybe passing on Graham Barton isn't the worst thing in the world when you can find yourself a future all-pro left tackle. Who knows if he's going to achieve that, but I'm saying that's the vision here. That is the vision for the Cowboys. And in the process, you're nailing a third-round pick, and we'll get to that in a moment because that might have been my favorite part as well. But the exact moment that, to me, felt like the Cowboys were nailing this was after they traded down. We all talked about wanting to trade down, and they eventually got it in the first round, which was a big win. But before I continue here with my thoughts on Cooper Beebe and all that, let me say hi again and let me read some of your comments because I asked you, who was your favorite prospect? Who was your favorite pick? And I can see a lot of interesting answers. We got Juan Daniel saying Cooper Beebe. There's a lot of Beebe answers here in the chat, by the way. I'm kind of trying to look for them right now. But I saw them out of the corner of my eye. We got Toxic Joey Bell saying Beebe. Mark Aaron saying Beebe. Gregory saying Beebe. Jerma. Derek also voting for Beebe. Mike as well. Daniel says Beebe or Ryan Flournoy, which was a very intriguing one. And from what I've seen so far, I'm kind of excited about the wide receiver competition on the back end of that room. That's going to be fun. Joe also goes with Cooper Beebe. Juan Daniel says the grade for him in the draft was B+. And I actually had that exact same grade on my article for A to Z Sports, where I graded each pick and then overall the class. You can read that over on AtoZSports.com/Dallas. Night Train says Beebe, a mauler. And I'll agree, man. My favorite pick value-wise is Cooper Beebe. And I know he's a third rounder, so probably I should go in chronological order and all that, but this is my show, so we'll just go straight into the third round because I do think Guyton and Beebe kind of go hand in hand because they're offensive linemen, but also because of the trade, right? You get that 73rd pick. And let's be honest. The draft is always full of surprises, so we cannot know for sure. But I could say with 90% confidence that Cooper Beebe wouldn't have made it to 87th. By the start of the third round, he was already seen as like perhaps the best player available at that moment. Like the value was too high, especially for an offensive lineman who had that position flex after playing everywhere across the board at Kansas State. So to get Cooper Beebe at 73rd overall was a huge win, even more so for a team that could use a starting center. Now, the Cowboys have admitted that they're looking to have him play center. Who knows if he's going to beat Brock Hoffman, but that guy could do it. Like Cooper Beebe is absolutely legit. He was top 40 in the consensus board. He was top 40 for Dane Brugler, who in my opinion is one of the faces of the NFL draft media industry. And Cooper Beebe could set the tone for the Cowboys in the run game. This is a player that has shown his, skills in pass pro. I think he's playing left guard, by the way. He's not exactly very explosive out of his stance. I'm not a fan of him out of his stance, but he's always looking for work. He's always identifying blitzers. I think he wins with his feet a lot in pass pro. Like he kind of sits back, but he's always very controlled with his movement. So that's exciting. And here you have a perfect example of his hustle. Like he just climbs to the second level, buries the linebacker, and then immediately turns for the defensive back. And I actually isolated that play so you could see it again. Like he's just mauling second level defenders in this play. And that little block at the end gives the Kansas State Wildcats that huge gain. And you see a lot of him just being So, and he used this word nasty on 105.3, the fan, after he was picked. You see that on film. Like, he's not making it up. Now, I didn't load the clips on the Texas Longhorns game because I recorded them with my phone because I was lazy and there was a lot of background noise. But I watched the Longhorns game from the 2023 NFL season after he was picked. This guy handled Byron Murphy, who was the first defender off the board in the 2024 NFL draft, and T'Vondre Sweat, who was picked in the second round despite of the field issues. So he might have gone even earlier. I kind of was very, very blown away by that game. Now, I'll say this. I don't know that I saw him like bury Byron Murphy or T'Vondre Sweat, but I didn't see like ugly reps from him at all in the run game in that one game. And again, he's playing against an NFL duo of defensive tackles, essentially, and he doesn't sweat on that game. Pass pro wise, he is perfect, like literally perfect. No pressures allowed versus that duo of defensive tackles in the 2023 season, in what was, by the way, a 33-30 thriller between these two teams that went to overtime. T'Vondre Sweat and Byron Murphy had 12 pressures in that game. None of them were the responsibility of Cooper Beebe. Does he win every single rep? Maybe not. Maybe not in the run game. But he doesn't lose a single one of them in an ugly way. Like, there's not a blown up play because of Cooper Beebe. That, I think, is something that NFL evaluators probably were blown away by. Now, this is a game that I have not seen. Another one that I'm about to talk about. But Dane Brugler does mention it in his draft guide. I want to go back and watch it before we kind of dive deeper into this storyline. But since we're talking about him, I'll just read you this quote. He says that, his reach is short. And man, like, this dude has sub 32-inch arms. Like, this is short. But powerful, helping him keep rushers off of his frame in pass pro. See his 2022 matchup versus Tyree Wilson. Tyree Wilson was a 7th overall draft pick last year. And he seems to have beaten him as well. Went back to the stats. He allowed 1 pressure in that game. And he seems to have matched up against Tyree Wilson, who played all across the Texas Tech defensive line. So you're talking about somebody who handled Byron Murphy, handled T'Vondre Sweat, handled Tyree Wilson. Hell yeah, I'm all in Cooper Beebe. If I put together my projected starting lineup right now, I would give Cooper Beebe the edge. And that might be cheating because we have not seen him at all at the NFL level. But I would give him my trust in that sense. And I do think they're going to teach him to play center. I do think he's going to nail it. Coaching staff at Kansas State seemingly called him an extension of the coaching staff. They think very highly of his intellectual skills. So he should be able to pick up center. I don't know how quick that transition is going to be. So we'll see. That's going to be fun in training camp. Hoffman versus Cooper Beebe, definitely one of the main events, one of the heavyweight main events of the offseason for the Cowboys. But man, Cooper Beebe to me was like cherry on top of these straight. Like, what would you rather have had? Like, a lot of people have been like, man, I can't believe they passed on Graham Barton. But is Barton better than Tyler Guyton and Cooper Beebe? I don't think so. I'll take the latter 9 days out of 10. The only time that I might prefer Graham Barton is like if I have a complete offensive line that's just missing a center and I just absolutely need that and only that. I would much rather get Tyler Guyton and get Cooper Beebe, and just, especially if my team is thinking about the future, I'm fine with it. I am absolutely fine with it. Troy says Beebe ragdolled Sweat on one play. Man, it's a fun game to watch. Cooper Beebe versus the Texas Longhorns. It really is. There's one play where he just, the defender is kind of like overshooting to the outside shoulder of Cooper Beebe. Doesn't overthink it. He kind of just like uses circular force, tosses him aside, and then immediately gets back in position to block at the second level. Like, this guy is just out there having some fun. And I know this is not the Texas game again. I didn't screen record for that one. But this is his attitude in every single play. Like he's just out there looking for work. And I have yet to see him be caught by surprise by a blitz. I have not seen that. And I'm midway through my third game of Cooper Beebe this weekend. Bob says Cooper Beebe is a beast. Jared says he needs to drop his weight to around 315 pounds to play center, which is definitely going to be kind of like a storyline for him. He's at 322 per Brugler's draft guide at the combine. So we'll see what that looks like for him, like the process of the size. Because obviously, as you get further inside into the offensive line, you get smaller and smaller. But also, like, I think the same might go for length. And I'm excited about, like, him being protected of his subpar length at center when playing center. David Lawrence says, BB moves well for his size. He played tackle. Man, this guy played 26 games of left guard, 13 games of left tackle, and then another 9 games of right tackle. Now, he's never taking a snap at tackle in the NFL, not with arms shorter than 32 inches. That's just never going to happen. But yeah, man, he's fun. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, moving forward, because we cannot talk about Cooper Beebe for the entire show, I guess. But moving forward, having said that, I like the trade. I really like the trade. Graded it an A- on ADZ Sports. Graded Tyler Guyton, I believe, as a B. And then I graded Cooper Beebe, I believe, as a... Man, I can just tell you. I can just open the article and tell you instead of making this up. So I'm trying to remember. Tyler Guyton got a B+ from me. And then Cooper Beebe got an A+ because I really liked it. Let's get to Marshon Kneeland. Grade the pick for me. Because I think this has been the most misunderstood pick of the Cowboys draft class so far. Not so far, it's over. But how would you grade Marshon Kneeland going to the Cowboys at 56th overall in the second round? Let me know. Katharina says, come on, guys. There's almost 200 people in here. We capped 52 likes. Yeah, go on and hit the like button for me. Smash that thumbs up. We are live every Sunday and Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central. And we're catching up in between with shorter videos, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And by the way, next Thursday, we are going to have a NFL draft expert, a true film analyst, to help us break down the Cowboys from a national perspective, as in he's not a Cowboys fan. So I'm really intrigued to get James Foster's thoughts. If you've seen James Foster on the A to Z Sports Film Room channel, you know he's a dog. Like, this guy could have he's got the caliber of the top dogs in the draft industry. So I'm excited about having him on the show with us and talking about this. So that is going to be fun for sure. But yeah, let's see what you make out of the Marshon Kneeland pick, because I think it's been so misunderstood. Albert says A-. Ty says B. Jerma says A-. A- great for Kneeland, says Daniel. Let's see here. David goes with a B because he will play inside and outside. B+ for Mark Aaron. I'm glad to see this. I'm glad to see the positive grades. A for Gary. This pick, for some reason, had a lot of people upset on Twitter. Joey Bella goes with the A. B+ for Katharina. Leon says Sam Williams is definitely on notice with the Kneeland pick. I might hit you with a hot take. I don't think it's that hot, but I'm going to hit you with one of my overreactions, Leon, after I'm done talking about Marshon Kneeland. Man, Marshon Kneeland got an A- for me. And the reason why is, and I don't build draft boards because I don't watch enough prospects to do this. But Marshon Kneeland was 58th on the consensus board, which, it's fine, right? It's pretty much a dead even value per the consensus board. James Foster had him at 38th. Dane Brugler had him at 32nd. Multiple draft analysts had him going in the first round in several mock drafts, which in turn means to some teams Marshon Kneeland was a first round pick. Marshon Kneeland in the second was some insane value. Now, a lot of people might go, yeah, but we needed a running back. We needed an offensive lineman, before the Cowboys actually picked Cooper Beebe. Or we needed this and we needed that. Dude, you need an edge rusher. Like before the Marshon Kneeland pick, you absolutely needed an edge rusher. Because you had Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, one of the best starting duos at the position. You pretty much had no depth beyond Sam Williams. Sam Williams was your number 3 after losing Armstrong and Fowler in free agency. And after that, you had Viliami Fehoko with all of his 0 career snaps to back them up. Now, who knows who Fehoko is going to be in his second year in the NFL? Because let's face it, he was buried on a loaded edge rusher group. And ideally, you would want him to have been active for some games at least. And it was kind of a bummer that he never really got his chance to play. And maybe that's because he hasn't done a great job, but he was also buried. Like the bench, like the bar was high, if you will. But Marshon Kneeland is a steal at 56th overall. An absolute steal. And I've watched so many moments of Marshon Kneeland that it makes me go, oh, damn, like this might be a dude in the NFL. I know he's raw. I know he's not exactly the NFL-ready player that you want sometimes in the second round. He's not somebody that is always winning with his shoulders. He's very uptight and all that. But hey, look at Marshon Kneeland absolutely bullying number 50 here with his arm length. Like he doesn't even have to finish him to humiliate him in this play. You see him versus Iowa, and you can see him right on the right side here of your screen. I'm going to play that again because it's such a short video. I'm sorry about that. But look at Marshon Kneeland there, just kind of like getting in position, making the play, tackle for loss. This is an absolute insane play. He's going to be playing on the right side of your screen again. Look at him just destroying that double team, getting through that gap, sending the tackle to the ground, and then just killing the running back. I actually slowed that down for you because it's such a fun play to watch. The Cowboys scouting director actually talked about this one on 105.3 The Fan. I went looking for it. Look at that power from Marshon Kneeland. And then he just violently attacks the running back, which is so fun to watch in real time. I'm going to play that again in a moment here. Holy smokes. I tweeted out that is Jason Bourne. And then between parentheses, Marshon Kneeland. I'm excited about Kneeland. And I've seen multiple people and compare him to DeMarcus Lawrence. And I think he's compared to DeMarcus Lawrence because of the size and the length, but also because you see his tape and the highlights are 80% run stuff. I don't know that he has a lot of highlights pass rushing wise, and I believe he had like less than 5 sacks or fewer than 5 sacks in each season. I've got his stats right here. Give me a second. That was one of like his big problems, I believe, for Marshon. But he was Dane Brugler's 5th best edge rusher. Never reached 5 sacks in any of his college seasons. So he had 4.5 and 4.5 in 2021 and 2023. But as a run defender, man, he had 7.5 in 2023 in 10 games started. He had 10 tackles for losses in 7 games started in 2022, and then 8 tackles for losses in 4 games started in 2021. And you can see why. Like, he's just violent. He's got the length, and he's just going to get better and better. And I saw Dane Brugler also kind of shout him out because he said, like, this guy improved every single year, and that's pretty much what you want. Man, Jared says, I saw Jimmy Johnson's fingerprint on this draft. Man, I kind of think Jimmy Johnson went kind of like as a fan experience. You know what I'm talking about? Like, if he was there, which I'm not even sure he was, I never even saw him in the draft room. I guess that would have gone viral. Like if Jimmy Johnson was there, he was on the back of the wall, living the experience as a fan, right? But yeah, that was a tweet from Tony Casillas that kind of made me go like, oh no, tell me we're not doing this. Tell me we're not treating the draft this way. But man, this draft just overall kind of made me go like, yeah, this is what the Cowboys do well. It was a nice refresher after spending about 2 consecutive months complaining about the way that the Cowboys were doing things, that it felt nice to have a change of pace. And it doesn't justify the way they do things in free agency, even though Jerry was trying to justify himself by saying that, hey, this is what we do in the draft and all that. Yeah, that's good and well. It doesn't justify what they're doing financially, but it was a nice change of pace to be excited about something that the Cowboys were doing. And I do think this was a heck of a draft class. And I know we're just getting started with the top 3 picks. The Cowboys then get Marist, the linebacker from Notre Dame. And Marist Liofo, I think I'm pronouncing it. Might be pronouncing it wrong. Give me a second. I also wrote that down here somewhere. I know Stephen Jones didn't want to say it in his press conference. I do want to say it. Leofo, Leofau, I think. Sorry about that. Marist, I don't know. Marist was one of my worst grades on my article for A to Z Sports. I gave it a C plus, I think. C plus. I think it's only fair to question the value, right? 158th player on the consensus board, 154th in James Foster's board. He was Dane Brugler's 15th linebacker. There are some questions there, but I can see the vision there as well. There was Mike Zimmer's phone call with him where he goes, I don't know if you saw that, but Mike Zimmer calls him, and during that draft call videos that they put out, and Mike Zimmer tells him, you sold me when you told me what everyone was doing on the field. So it seems like we're talking about a very savvy linebacker who might be very versatile. And I love to hear, and I haven't watched Marist in depth at all, but you love to hear that his calling card seems to be his coverage. Like everyone talks about Marist coverage skills, not necessarily because of his super athleticism, but because he's a high effort, high energy player. Shout out to Tyler Browning from A to Z Sports. He's been talking about Marist to the Cowboys since February, if not earlier. And I was so excited for Tyler when the Cowboys got him. I'm going to have him send a scouting report or something so we can discuss it here on the show. He actually published one already on A to Z Sports Dallas in case you want to, or he will. I'm not exactly sure if it's already up there. But in that sense, Marist really excites me. We've talked about the Mike Zimmer scheme for a good while, and there's no question that he wants versatile linebackers. He wants linebackers that can rush the passer, which Marist does on film consistently, and does it from the edge, but also does it as a blitzer through the B gap, which is what you want to see out of a linebacker that is going to play for Mike Zimmer. And yeah, he's very rangy. I don't think that Marist is going to be like an instant starter for you. He shouldn't. Like, he's an 87 draft pick, so that doesn't mean that it's a bad pick at all. But chances are he's going to start as a special teamer and then eventually graduate to be a important member of the Cowboys defense. But I don't know if I would project him as a starter just yet. From what I understand, like, his negative is that he's just not exactly ready in terms of what his eyes see and the fact that he might be a little bit impatient on the field. But I'm excited about Marist as well. Ultimately, I'm fine with the reaching aspect of it because you didn't pick until the 5th round. And by then, the Cowboys maybe did gain or earned the right to be like, absolutely need a linebacker right here. So I'm fine with that. And a lot of people are upset about not taking Peyton Wilson. I'm not sure we get to criticize the Cowboys for not hitting on second rounders, taking like those risks, and then be upset at the Cowboys not taking Peyton Wilson. Like, you just cannot do that. I don't think we're allowed to have it both ways, guys. But Would it have been fun? Yeah, but can you see the vision by them not taking Peyton Wilson? Absolutely. Absolutely. Cowboys by nature says I give them an F, an all in for draft, and a B minus for developmental picks. Yeah, exactly. Like I actually thought this was going another direction. Cowboys by nature. I was about to be like, you cannot seriously grade this an F, but I see exactly what you mean. A lot of people are upset at this draft because they don't see it as a win now draft. The Cowboys are not really on a win now mode. It's just the reality. Now, on a similar note, I've seen a lot of people that are not very excited about not having a running back right now. I'm gonna give you a hot take. Oh, by the way, I forgot to give you my Marshon Kneeland hot take. I'll circle back to that in a moment. Sorry about that. I had promised you that, but first the running back one, and I've got receipts for this because I actually wrote this before day 2. I put together a list of the biggest 6 remaining needs for the Cowboys heading into day 2. Running back was not number 1. It was not number 2. Not 3, not 4. I had running back at 5. Now, the reason for that was not because I thought the Cowboys already had a number 1 running back. It was all about a positional value. Like I listed wide receiver, linebacker, defensive tackle before I did running back, just because of the position value. Like I'm fine with the Cowboys not reaching for a running back. Let's say that the Cowboys reached for Marist in the 3rd round. I would have much rather have them do that than reach for a running back. Because at the end of the day, it all goes back for me to the fact that they got Cooper Beebe, they got Tyler Guyton, they addressed the trenches. And I've been a proponent for a long time of the running backs don't matter, and I'm throwing up the quotes because, of course, they do matter. But the priority is the offensive line. So I'm fine with the Cowboys kind of waiting on that. I am much more excited about Marshon Kneeland being on the team that I would have been with like Trey Benson, Jalen Wright in the 2nd round. I wouldn't have liked that at all. So, and maybe we won't get too much into the day 3 picks just yet, but they did get Kalen Carson, who I like because, hey, one of the best players available by the time that they picked him, immediate impact maker on special teams. They got Ryan Flournoy, who I don't know exactly what his role is going to be. I don't know if he is going to have an easy path to the 53-man roster, but he's athletic as hell. That's one thing you can see right out of the bat. I know relative athletic score is just a small part in a large puzzle, but he's one of the most athletic receivers to come out to the NFL draft in like the last 30 years per the relative athletic score metric. So I'm excited about seeing what he's all about, especially for a 6th rounder. Nate Thomas. He's a nasty blocker as well. I'm trying to get some film on him, but I've seen some of the clips out there. I'm excited about Nate Thomas as a guard, honestly. I think that offensive line competition in the back end of the depth chart is going to be fun as hell in training camp. And then Justin Rogers, I know he's not a very exciting prospect, but you did need a big man, and that's what he is. And let's see what they can make out of him in the offseason. But Justin Rogers feels the need as well. I'm upset at the running back position. Yeah, a little bit. But I would have been more upset had they reached for a running back. And I don't think by day 3 you were going to get a difference maker unless you had like that 4th round pick, which the Cowboys just didn't have. They didn't have. So I'm not exactly into the let's embarrass the draft class because they didn't get a running back mentality. I think that's a bad mentality. I think that's not a good way to go about it. I don't think it was that big of a or that important of a position to think that it ruined the draft class. And they're absolutely going to sign Ezekiel Elliott. Now, I'm not super excited about that prospect. I would much rather have them trade for somebody else, somebody more explosive. But yeah, it sure sounds like they're going the Ezekiel Elliott route. I will say, I don't know if if Jerry Jones duped me when he was craving or raving about Jonathan Brooks, when he was like, we've got him high, high, high on our board. I don't know if he was trolling me. I'll say this: he got me. He got me. I thought it was going to be a done deal. Obviously, Jonathan Brooks was not there by the time the Cowboys were on the clock, but he might have gotten me, man. He might have. He might have duped me. I'll say that. Nate Pitt says David Lawrence, the UDFA running back the Cowboys signed. I don't know the first thing about him. I'll be honest with you. I owe you that one. I owe you thoughts on that one. But we'll talk about the tight end tomorrow. We'll talk about the tight end tomorrow here on the show. I've got some interesting notes on him that I think you will enjoy. But in the meantime, though, let me read some of your comments here. Oh, actually, Iceberg mentioned him. He says, Mo, that tight end, Brevin Spanford, he's a threat. He can play this year. Iceberg, I agree with you, man. I agree. He's not perfect. He's not perfect. I'm going to give you a scary number. 26%. That's Spanford's drop rate last year. Boy, he's not perfect. But let me tell you something, man. You can see he could be entertaining. You could see he could be, like, if he cleans that up, he could be a very fun player. He is a nasty blocker. We'll get into that tomorrow night. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, do me a favor and hit the like button for me. Hope you enjoyed the show. I am excited about the fact that we had so many people on the room tonight. Shout out to Joey Bella saying hit the like button. Yeah, man, we've got over 200 people on YouTube. We've got another 50 or something on Facebook. Hit the like button for me. And I'll see you back on Thursday night. We will have a legitimate draft expert on the show talking about the Cowboys in their class. So I'm excited about that one from an objective point of view because he's not a Cowboys fan. So I'm even more excited about that. But James Foster put together a big board of like, I don't know what the number was, but like 200 plus players. Like this guy really dug deep into the class. And you can read all of his thoughts, by the way, on A to Z Sports, by the way, in case you want to check that out. But hey, Albert says, I'm excited. Great show. Thanks so much. Tape shows the rest of the week, says Mark Aaron. So the new schedule is Sunday and Thursday, we're doing live shows. And then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I'll see you with some quick hitting videos. That is going to be the schedule moving forward. Shout out to everyone. Thank you for joining in. Do me a favor, hit the like button, and I'll see you tomorrow night. And then on Thursday for the live show. Bye-bye.